Another Sunday evening with Anthony Cumia. That's me, the Anthony Cumia Show. You know, the wizards up there in New York, the bosses, the head muckety-mucks of this whole thing, they heard a few of my shows. Apparently, people have been tuning in, and they heard a few shows over the past few weeks that I've been doing. And what do? They go, what does the world need more of? Anthony Cumia, that's right. We are now a 3-hour program. Oh, yes. Last few weeks, you might have listened from 8 to 10 p.m. Now, 11. Let's see how far we can take this. I'm stunned myself, people. I am shocked and amazed myself. No, of course, the fine people up at home base up there, they know true talent when they see it. And regardless, they've decided to give me another hour of programming on their precious, precious airwaves. I do appreciate it, as I hope you do too, people. We have, oh my God, the wonderful Lionel from Lionel Nation is on tonight. About 8:30, we'll be joining, Lionel will be joining us. I'm so used to joining other people from not having a show. But Lionel will be joining me, and we'll talk about a multitude of things, I'm sure. Lionel is a very smart guy. He's actually gotten me to buy into a few things that I was dead set not believing for quite some time. Maybe we'll talk about a few of those, but of course, stick around for that. In the meantime, there's a few things I want to get to. Obviously, there's three little things that just pissed me off during the week. I like commenting on, and they don't have to be the biggest story. They don't have to be this amazing thing where you're like, well, of course that pissed Anthony off. It could just be something I was scrolling through or reading and went like, oh, God. Oh, the nonsense that we have to deal with. First, I want to talk about mental institutions. They don't really bother me. The lack of mental institutions bothers me, but it seemed, I remember growing up, there were mental institutions. You were scared to drive by them. They had this mystique about them. They were a good place once you started getting a little older and you were interested in girls. It was a great place to take a girl. Yes, Zoomers or anyone else, Gen Zers or people that don't understand what I could possibly mean by that. Yes, you would take your girl to a mental institution. And I don't mean to commit her like they probably agree with these days. They go, yeah, I could see taking my girlfriend to a mental institution. But no, it was to sneak around the grounds of a mental institution at night. It was scary. It was fun, adventurous. The girl was petrified, so she wouldn't leave your side. You take a couple of beers, maybe some other supplemental psychological things, and you're having a great time. That was a mental institution. We didn't want to know what was going on inside, but there seemed to be a lot of them. And the good part about that, other than being able to get a scared girl hanging onto your shirt for dear life, was that they were full of mental patients. Mental patients. These were people that, well, these days are just walking around. They would be locked up in a building behind locked doors, barred windows, with a staff of doctors and a few people in white coats with butterfly nets, as I remember. Maybe I'm recalling cartoons. You are a metal case. But I do recall it was a thing, and I remember it with fondness. But these days, we don't have them. I don't know. They've been folded into your basic health care, basic hospital. I know most hospitals have like, oh, where is she? The 5th floor. But they're not mental institutions. These were places where, I don't know, politicians, I guess, family members. They could stick people that weren't fit to walk the streets. They were mentally ill to the point where they could not assimilate to civil society. And it's a thing of the past now. And boy, do we need it now more than ever. We need them. You see, what I got to tell you? You scroll on your phone, one move of your thumb, and you've seen 5 people that should already have been committed to said mental institution. But they're just out there walking. I don't know what happened. I guess it was, I was looking into this a little to see what happened. Why don't we see these buildings and the scary places and know that there's nuts locked up there? And it seems that back in the late 70s, early 1980, not even 80s, just 80, there was the Mental Health Systems Act of 1980, signed by a president I think we can all say did a bang-up job. James Earl Carter was his name. Going out, checking out. He's at the front desk saying, I'm done, checking out, and wheeling his luggage out of the American hotel, and he has to screw something up on the way out. Because we had mental institutions. He figured this would be a way to get federal funding to the states so the states could have money to run their mental institutions. I guess, Carter did a lot of things that I guess seem noble. But truth be told, he screwed up a lot of things. And that might not have been bad. I don't know, because it only lasted 10 months. Carter's Mental Health Systems Act of 1980 only lasted 10 months. And then Ronnie Reagan came in and he was like, yes, we don't need places for these lunatics. I'm stopping the Mental Health Systems Act. And he did. And in the shuffle and all the nonsense, we ended up with no more big Gothic-looking buildings full of nuts. They just opened the doors and let them out onto the street. So what do we do? What are we supposed to do? Round them up? Open these buildings again? It seems like an archaic thing, like the circus. Because the current resolution doesn't seem to be working. And that is sit in front of your TV. Within 10 minutes, you'll be inundated with these commercials for psycho drugs. And if you feel yourself or one of your family member or a coworker is insane, you might recommend talk to your doctor. Have you asked your doctor about whatever drug? And before you know it, you're popping these pills and supposedly not crazy anymore. Well, I think the evidence proves that's not quite accurate, is it? There's different levels, of course. The current mental patient, I think, are the people vandalizing Teslas. The liberal. They're still the same liberal jerk-offs, if I may say, that we saw over the course of 4 years during the and even during the first Trump administration. But during the Biden years, you really saw them come out. They did all their little social media videos, and they just sound insane. The second they have to be forced to do something they don't want to do, which during the Biden-Harris administration, they were allowed to do a lot of things. They were allowed to guess whatever sexuality they wanted to be. They could get any job they wanted, no matter how stupid or incompetent they were. So they really didn't have much to be mad about. Well, now we're seeing they're very mad. They're mad at Trump and Elon Musk and Doge. And they go, what do we do? I don't understand this, because we're being forced to do things we don't like doing. So how do we react? We'll turn into junior high school students and key cars. Some of them are hardcore. They're blowing them up with Molotov cocktails and shooting into the Tesla dealerships and bombing them. But these are mental patients. Don't be fooled. They're not protesters. They're not passionate about their cause. They are insane people that perhaps should have been treated at some point during their life, so it wouldn't reach this point where they're just roaming around, keying cars, vandalizing, yelling at people, taking their clothes off in airports, yelling on airplanes. This is what we're seeing. We didn't used to see this when those beautiful brick buildings with gargoyles hanging off the ledges and big metal bars. Remember big metal bars on the windows, and you'd walk around and go, that's where the mental patients are. Well, maybe someday we'll get back to putting them where they truly belong. We'll be back in moments. Don't go anywhere. I believe the clown of the week. We have that clown of the week, and it's one that it won't surprise anybody. Be right back. Stick around. I have to come in here full of energy, as my dad used to say, full of piss and vinegar. That was a saying back in the old days. I don't know what it means. I kind of knew what he meant by it, but who knows what it means. My old man, he was crazy. There's a segment I like to do here, but it's so hard to choose who should be dubbed Clown of the Week, because these days there are so many contenders for that top spot, but I think we found one this week. Let's get into Clown of the Week.
The Anthony Cumia Show presents the Clown of the Week.
Oh, yeah. It's usually somebody. They're very liberal in their ideology. I guess that used to mean something else. Usually very well known, a celebrity. I could have bumped into someone at the supermarket that was quite the clown, but then you people wouldn't really know who that was, and it might not really hit the nerve I wanted to hit. So famous, a liberal, and douchey. Can I say douchey? Because, oh boy, this guy has made a few good movies that I have sat down and enjoyed. Still watch a couple of them. See if you can figure it out. He was in a movie called Con Air. He was also in some of those early Brat Pack movies. Has a sister in the business, named Joan. Well, ladies and gentlemen, John Cusack is this week's Clown of the Week. He really goes out on a limb here. He really is brave and courageous by bad-mouthing Donald Trump and Elon Musk. I know, the courage it takes in 2025 to berate these two. You really gotta probably have a very thick skin, because the abuse is just going to come piling at you. Here's John Cusack, a little bit of him talking about Trump and Elon, and just rambling as most of these Hollywood liberal idiots, clowns, quite frankly, will. John?
He said, Musk is kind of this arch villain of late stage capitalism, and he seems like this clown and this buffoon. But like Alex said, this is a man who made a Sieg Heil Nazi salute, not only in public, but at a presidential victory party. It's good to remember that these are unprecedented times of mass criminality going on in the United States right now. And that, like Trump, Musk is a pathological liar. He's a criminal. He's a sociopath and a ghoul. And I mean those terms very precisely, because who else would use his own child as a sympathy prop while literally taking starving aid away from people all over the world? He's literally killing people. People are going to die because of this madness.
All right.
He's a man who threw 80,000 people from the
We could cut it off right
Iraq.
there, I think we could cut it off right there. He earned clown with just those statements. all the things he said, a ghoul, a criminal, a pathological liar, a villain. They would love for Elon Musk to be an actual villain. They're so stuck in their Hollywood mentality of roles and actors and characters and writers that write the dialogue and the story and directors that tell them where to stand, that they don't understand that real people actually exist. And it's not the real people, because they're not real, that hang out and chit chat with the likes of John Cusack. Elon Musk, you can hate Elon, but you'd be hard pressed to say he's detrimental to the world, to America. The things he's doing with technology. I don't know. I think you'd be very hard pressed to say he's not an amazing man. In the same vein as Nikola Tesla, Steve Jobs, these people that have changed the whole complexion of the planet by having an idea, having a goal, and actually trying to make it come true. And then you got John Cusack, his head filled with words other people wrote for him, his body motions being told to him by directors where to stand, what to do, and he has the balls to talk about someone like Elon that's actually making the world better. Try to fault putting up satellites so that the far corners of the earth can have high-speed internet, no matter where you are. Amazon rainforest, here you go. Now, I don't know what they're using it for. Probably smut. But, to come out and say these things about Elon and just making these accusations, a liar? What has he lied about? He found corruption. He found money that was being wasted, American taxpayer money wasted at the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars and probably trillions by the time he's done. So the idea that John Cusack and company can just crap on this guy for what? Politically motivated. That's what it is. He's got to get more movie jobs. He's got to hang out with his elite Hollywood friends. He can't possibly. I think he believes this stuff. I think there are certain Hollywood celebrities that believe the complete opposite. They love what Trump and Musk are doing, but they know they have to work. And then there's other ones that speak their mind and they never work again. Not that I thought Scott Baio was getting into the next Oscar winner, but, at least he speaks his mind. So, John Cusack, let's chalk him up to clown of the week. So many could have been appointed clown of the week, but John Cusack makes it. Hey, stick around. We're going to have Lionel with us next on the Anthony Cumia Show. 3 hours worth. Thank you. Keep them separated. The Anthony Cumia Show, the big, fat, bloated 3-hour needs Ozempic obese version of the Anthony Cumia Show. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to wait any longer. This man has been sitting in a studio, and he's busy. He's a busy, busy man. You might know him from Lionel Media. You might know him from Lionel Nation. You might know him as a radio personality. He was on these very airwaves before I was. And a prosecuting attorney. Oh, boy. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Lionel. Lionel, how are you, my friend?
Anthony, on behalf of a grateful nation, thank you, not for what you do, but for what you appear to do. And I mean that sincerely, from the heart, brother.
I only take it as sincerely and from the heart, my good friend Lionel.
Let's talk about how you take it. If the word on the street is correct. But it's a family show.
It is. We're back on FCC regulated airwaves.
And you, by the way, seamlessly have not used any of this coprolalic concupiscent doggerel.
Uh-oh. I think they just dumped out of that, Lionel. I think our guys thought they were curses.
Yes. And you have been accused of being crapulous, which is also a nice way of saying drunk. But do you mind? I do not want to take over anything. What you said about mental illness and the institutions, dear God, tonight I have a video dropping on that very subject, sir.
You do.
And you are after my heart regarding this because I know a little bit about that. Having been in the criminal justice system.
Oh, whew, I thought you were going to say having been committed to a mental institution.
No. Just because, listen. But you are so correct. And when you say that, you, of course, will come across as some kind of a right-wing, heartless bastard. You cold
Which is what I am, Lionel.
True.
But I don't want to come across as that.
I didn't say you weren't. I'm saying
right.
I'm just saying. But years ago in the 1950s, somebody had this idea that said, "Let's deinstitutionalize mental illness, mental facilities, psych wards, because they're horrible." Because people are treated like, and it's true.
It was.
There was the Willowbrook, and did you know the word bedlam that we use? Like, there's bedlam comes from the
like pandemonium.
Correct. Very good, Cumia, for the save.
Thank you.
The hospital in London was Bethlehem, St. Bethlehem or something. And they, in that Cockney, kind of a Dick Van Dyke bad Cockney, would say Bedlam, and hence the name for that. So in the 1950s, they said, let's deinstitutionalize. And then John Kennedy said, we're going to give you folks all kinds of money. And they said, great. So local governments shut their programs down because they took them off the books. They could spend the money elsewhere. Washington reneged on the deal, and all of these people were just walking around,
wandering
abandoned.
Around. With less brains than JFK had after that fateful day in November.
Wow.
It really has been kind of this build-up over the course of the years. People knew, look, asylums were horrible places. We saw this. We knew about it. But nothing was really done. I kind of blame Geraldo Rivera. He went to Willowbrook Mental Institution back in the 70s and did this expose, which showed just horrific conditions that these people were under. But we didn't want that to mean, okay, release the hounds, let them out on the street, release the Kraken.
No.
We wanted something else that was a little more humane, but not having them pushing you onto the train tracks on the subway platform.
It's funny you say that. Now, there's another aspect to this which nobody wants to talk about. There are people, let me ask you this question. If somebody, let's say we have a Vietnam veteran who is suffering from PTSD, the likes of which we can't even explain, and during the course of some episode, or somebody who is actually psychotic, who actually is not here, thinks he's under attack and does something, does not recall it, much like, dare I say, MK Ultra years ago, in the case of perhaps of John Lennon and Sirhan and Jack Ruby, but I digress, because I don't want to get you too far into that. But if somebody did not know what they were doing, let's say they were sleepwalking, do you think they should be held to criminal responsibility if they honestly didn't know what they were doing?
That has always intrigued me, because I've heard these laws that say that in some cases people are not held responsible for that. The problem is, Lionel, and having been in the court system and
having been insane
as a lawyer, you would know these then get used by defendants to try to get out of whatever they're doing.
Wrong. Very rarely. Wait.
Wrong on my own show.
You are wrong, sir. Very rarely, very effective. Let me give you an example. In the United States, we have something called the McNaughton Rule. And it's spelled M''N''A'G. It's like and somehow we got McNaughton out of that. And what it does is it basically means that if you are dispossessed of the ability to appreciate the difference between right and wrong, you are theoretically NGRI, not guilty by reason of insanity. You are acquitted. You go to the funny farm, and then you are released once you are quote cured. Now, Anthony Cumia, let's say you're standing on a subway platform and you are having a psychotic episode and you hear in your voice, somebody says, push her. And you say, I don't want to. Push her, you miserable scum. And you do.
Oh,
now, you knew right from wrong, but you said, but I was told to do it. The McNaughton rule doesn't apply. It doesn't make any sense. It's now, when you see this poor woman ground to death under the wheels of the 6 train, you don't give a rat's ass about this guy's, whether he appreciated it. You remember the case of John Hinckley?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
John Hinckley, who, of course, those individuals in the city of New York still refer to David Hinckley, who was the radio writer for the Daily News. And this poor guy, David Hinckley, has always been associated with killing or trying to kill President Reagan.
We also get him mixed up with Mark David Chapman, who killed John Lennon. So it's very difficult. A lot of those, I hate those 3 name assassins. Yes,
you must have Ted Bundy, only guy to get away with it. John Wayne Gacy, Lee Harvey Oswald. But what happened? But what happened in the case of John Hinckley? Who, by the way, listen to this. Remember that George Herbert Walker Bush, I believe, was breakfasting with one of his relatives prior to that assassination attempt. But I digress.
On Reagan?
Oh yeah, but I digress. I don't want to send you down.
And now, wait a minute. Isn't there also a picture of George H. Walker Bush outside the book depository?
No, there is a picture of people that claim. You know, there's a new claim. I love this site. Please, I'm buzzing around every subject. I'm not normally like this, but you brought it up.
I know.
Have you heard Representative Luna?
Tick,
who is now suggesting that they have a video or something of Lee Harvey Oswald standing outside next to the limousine. So okay, fine, that's terrific. But I digress. John Hinckley was found not guilty. Remember, he wanted to shoot Reagan supposedly to impress Jodie Foster. Because in the District of Columbia, their standard for the insanity defense was not the McNaughton rule. It was like the Durham rule or something, which means basically, if you had a bad day. So under this ridiculously easy burden, he was acquitted. That has since been corrected.
Well, you would think that wouldn't happen now, especially with the president of the United States. You couldn't see someone taking a pot shot at maybe now, because they really don't care.
But
a lot of people don't care.
But
it seemed you'd have a hard time trying to do the insane defense.
Yes, and the reason why is very simply this. The key is, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, did he know right from wrong? Mr. Cumia, let's say you're the defendant. Mr. Cumia, you're taking the stand, which proves that you're insane. When you ran away from the police, why did you run away? Because it was wrong. That's why.
Yes,
so
I've heard that many times.
There goes.
I've heard that many times where they say if you run from the police, if you fight, there's so many things you could do that would make any reasonable person look at you and go, well, he obviously knew he did something wrong.
But what if he said, I ran from the police because they weren't the police. They were from the planet Cyborg, and those were the transponder agents. And it never happens.
Don't you have to sit there and kind of prove that? Doesn't your lawyer have to come up with a lot of psychologists and psychiatrists that could say, yes, this guy is crazy?
Yep, absolutely. You have to do it. And here we go for another one. Here's another interesting aspect. Years ago in the state of Florida, where I was originally born, not Florida, that's where you visit. This is Florida. This is like, like Okeechobee.
Of course.
There was a fellow named Billy Ferry who walked into a Winn-Dixie with a gallon of gasoline, doused these poor checkout girls, lit them aflame, ran out, and their skin liquefied.
Wow.
This guy was, if you went to Central Casting, Anthony, and I said, give me the craziest Robin Williams meets whatever with the hair, you couldn't have come near him. He was wild. He was like, open the pot door, Mop, and he was just sit down. So there was a case. So the defense lawyer said, this is going to be the easiest. NGRI, not guilty by reason of insanity, because the guy's out of his tree. The prosecution said, excuse me, Your Honor, we'd like to mandate that he takes his medication. Wait a minute. What? Slow him down. Anthony, they gave this guy, whatever this stuff was, they gave him the best haircut, Vidal Sassoon, a beautiful suit. He sat there. He looked like your insurance agent. Of course, he's mumbling something about the planet Cyborg. So the issue is this. Can I kill your defense by having you take medication that makes you look normal? And then the paranoid schizophrenic says, I'm not going to take that stuff. You're trying to kill me. You see where it's a fascinating subject.
Yeah, but
nobody cares.
too many people get off the hook using stupid things.
No, they don't. But
like
if
that.
you want to believe that, you go ahead.
It's my show, my news, my fake news. I'll believe,
and I'll cry if I want to. I think Leslie Gore said it best.
I saw a post of yours recently, and you were talking about this big scandal with the messaging from our Secretary of Defense and the fact that a journalist was attached to the text, and you didn't seem to think it was that big a deal.
It wasn't.
Now, I'm from that school of thought myself, Lionel. I see this as, all right, not the best thing, but an error was made by a guy who's pretty new to this whole thing. It doesn't mean he's incompetent. It didn't kill any of our soldiers, and they'll be double sure to make sure it doesn't happen again. What was your take on this? Because I thought you might have been a little more miffed than you were.
No, I said from the beginning. First, listen, I love my country and I love my fellow compatriots or patriots. But Anthony, if you can't fit the story on a bumper sticker, you're wasting your time. If I'm talking about signal and forget it. But here's the story. Ladies and gentlemen, in the prior administration, a man named Biden, they found cocaine in the White House. He was caught basically selling his office to every country in the world. They didn't mind that. His son was a degenerate syphilitic pond scum selling. No problem with that. The Obamas got a dead guy at their place in Martha's Vineyard in 3 feet of water. No problem with that. It goes on and on. And President Trump was beautiful because he said, I don't know. I don't care.
I don't care.
He said, I'm busy.
Yeah.
And he just ignored it. The same way we ignored this doddering coot, this senescent wizened freak and his phony doctor. Nobody cared about that. And I wish Trump would say, the hell with it. And also, Anthony, who cares what John Cusack says? Who gives a rat's arse?
Well, I try to show that there are people out there that are saying some ridiculously stupid things, mister.
Well, what I like to do is I like to go with if I were to meet him, I say, Cusack, come here. You know what? You were correct. It takes a lot of balls for you to say that. Because let me tell you something. There was no better president than the guy before us. You know it and I know it. And then have him say, now, wait a minute. Hold it. No. You name one thing that man did wrong. One thing. And they go, what are you talking about?
You think they'd stick to the company line?
You out-left the left. And they'll look at you like, look, pal, you're Joe Biden. Joe Biden was the greatest man ever. He brought honor and dignity and have the lefty look at you like you're out of your mind.
But they did believe that right up until they were told don't believe that. Right when the debate happened and it fell apart and Kamala Harris gets anointed as the candidate, then they were all like, yeah, well, we all saw it, but we weren't sure. Meanwhile, we were sure when he was campaigning from his basement in Delaware.
Right.
So I think you can only talk to them in lies. You can only talk to them when their lie is agreeing with your lie.
They are so, how do I say this? There was a time, Anthony, maybe you recall this, when people were, do I have to break or are you scratching yourself?
No,
no. I'm looking at my dear friend, Mr.
I thought you could see me for a second. I was like, oh my God. That's embarrassing.
I thought you were going like, cut.
We got a couple of minutes.
No, it's okay. But Anthony, do you know what we went through before? There was a time in this country we went to be left. When I was a kid, the liberal left was, no war and civil rights and yay and women and yay.
Right.
And it made sense. And the Republicans were like, they're like good country club people and boring and they did nothing for me. Barry Goldwater. I didn't understand it. There was a kind of a marginal line between the two. Now, I don't know what it was. I don't know when it happened. I don't know it started right at the time of Trump when they said we want to have unisex bathrooms. That's when it started. I'm saying
that was the whole thing.
Why this push? And that was the thread on your sweater that you pulled and it all just fell apart. That was the tripwire. I don't know why, but that was, and it all went downhill after that.
Do you see Trump as being as good as his fans say he is, or as bad as his detractors say he is? How do you see Trump and what he's done? Because I know you don't look at anything at face value and just go, "Oh, that's what it is." What do you think about the job he's doing? In closing, Lionel,
I think he is excellent. He is like watching the Beatles. When the Beatles, when you say, do you think the Beatles are that great? When the entire world is melting down, in love with the Beatles, you can say, who cares what I think? He is changing everything. He is transformational. He is better than anything I could have ever even imagined. And I didn't even vote for him in 2016. I wrote my own name in because I said, I'm not going to be fooled anymore. I said, he's not going to beat Hillary Clinton because she's going to take, and I thought, okay, good luck. Now, I think he is God.
You were fooled. That's frightening.
I think I'm sorry. I think what he does when he comes in and says, hey, you know what? I'm going to take Canada. You can't take, and Greenland. He comes in every day and he says, who can I piss off today?
Yes.
Give me something that will just drive these people nuts. And he says these things and he does. Listen.
I love it.
What he has done, and you were so correct about Doge, and you were so correct about, by the way, doesn't Doge sound like douche kind of Doge?
It kind of does, but that works too.
That's okay.
They want him to be kind of douchey.
Well, if you think about the process of kind of like cleansing, getting rid of the detritus or whatever it is. But this, did you see him with Brett Baer? And he has these people that work with him, and all of them seem like they're mental cases, but they're all billionaires, and they're like laser focused in this weird kind of, very good spectrum laser focus on basically eliminating waste. And I'm thinking, who the hell could be against this?
Who's against it? But it's amazing. They come out against it, and they're proud of it. Lionel, we're going to take a quick break. I want you to stick around, though. We'll do a couple of more minutes at the other side of the break.
Yes,
and we'll be right back. It's Lionel from Lionel Nation. And we're with Lionel from Lionel Nation. Lionel, we have a few minutes left here. I do want to get your take on, because we were kind of touching on it just before, Trump, how much of it is trolling, how much of it is real? And I'm specifically talking about, he just came out the other day and said, maybe a third term. He might actually try to figure out how to do a third term. And I'm just thinking this is pure Trump trolling.
First of all, if I could, thank you so much. Lionel Nation on YouTube. Just to let people.
Of course, Lionel
okay.
Nation on YouTube. Yes.
Is it trolling? Yeah.
Is it?
I think most people, I learned everything I need to know in life from professional wrestling of the 60s and 70s
Yes.
in the South, NWA, with my friend Gordon Soley and Bobby the Brain Heenan. And I learned about the work and bringing heat and being the heel and understanding
the face and the heel,
bump,
yes.
a bump versus a Broadway versus. And what he does is he does these things, and I believe, like for example, he said the natural birthright or the 14th Amendment, and he says, I think we're going to go and we're going to change this. Well, you might not be able to do that. You might. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He'll just say this, and he's like, you have a cat. He has a pen light, and the media are cats, and he all of a sudden and they go and they run right into the wall. And then he says, and then I'm going to go for the third term. And I'm going to, which means a constitutional, we have to amend the Constitution.
Of course. It's
which
insane
is a
to think
process
that could possibly happen.
Yes, right. But he'll say that, and he'll say, and I'm serious, and we're going to go to the court. How about this? We're going to get rid of these awful judges. Wait a minute, what? How are you going to get, we're going to impeach him. You're not going to, you don't have the vote. It doesn't matter. He just says it.
Yes. The third term thing is brilliant because it gets them all agitated. And what is his finishing line with that whole thing was, but, we got a lot of things to do now, right, and that's in the future, but there are ways we're looking at to do this, but right now we're just concentrating on what we can do. So it sticks in their craw. They don't know what to do or say about it. They continue with this. He's a fascist,
right,
a dictator, and then he just feeds that.
See, but I wish he would also say, well, and none of these people can even define the fascisti, but I wish he would say, years ago I took great umbrage at you suggesting that I was some kind of a maniacal fool who wouldn't leave, that would barricade himself in the office. I think I wouldn't do that. But the more I think about it, thanks to you, there may be something there. A third term could be either easy or hard. Like the great Tina Turner said, we're going to take the beginning of the song and start off nice and easy. Rolling on. He is just... Did you see Susie Wiles, by the way, Susie Wiles, his chief of staff or whatever? She was wonderful. She's very quiet. Pat Summerall's daughter.
Oh, wow.
And she was talking about the way we're going to do things. Do you see where Elise Stefanik said, Elise, forget about the ambassador. What? Forget about it. Why don't you just stay where you are? Oh, okay. Well, whatever you want. Great. Oh, Alina Habba. What is it? Forget about being my lawyer. You're going to be the New Jersey U.S. Attorney interim. And guess where you're going to be? Newark. Not Washington.
Oh, Jesus.
Newark. And she says, I don't know if I want to. You're going to do it. Okay?
I don't like that.
Oh, it's beautiful. What about Pam Bondi, who, by the way, is from my hometown, went to my law school, great, worked at my state attorney's office. She says, Monday, we're going to have boxes of all the Epstein. We never got the boxes.
Very disappointing.
And on Tuesday, we're going to have the JFK. I got the actual bullet fragments from the grassy knoll. Whatever happened to that? And Kash Patel, he's saying this. I mean, they're just saying this stuff.
They just say this stuff. And then you hear the left. They like to come out and say, well, are you still happy about your vote?
Yes.
You're happy about and I go, yeah. There's nothing he's done or hasn't done that I am going, oh boy, I should have voted for Kamala Harris. Like, obviously, but they want to believe we're regretting. We have that buyer's remorse, and it's just not happening.
The first time it's funny. We always
we have just a few seconds left, Lionel. I would love to continue this, and we will on our various shows. But please tell people where they can find you.
They can find me at Lionel Nation on YouTube and on X or Twitter, as we call it, Lionel Media. And Anthony, thank you, my good friend.
Thank you, Lionel.
Fabulous.
I appreciate it. We'll have you on again. We love you, man. Be well, and we'll be right back after this short break. The Anthony Cumia Show continues. That's right. It is the Anthony Cumia Show. I want to thank Lionel for coming in. Always a treat to have the great Lionel in studio there. I can't wait till I do a show from the studio. That's going to be a lot of fun. I was worried about there was rain here, and I'm like, if my power goes out, I am really going to be pissed off. But the Lord wanted this to continue and me to do the show. Talent on loan from God. Hey, I won't take that one, I swear, people. We got a couple of instances of women and trans women saying that, and politicians, saying that it doesn't matter, man or woman, they are equal in sports. Can you honestly believe this? Is there any rationally thinking person that thinks a woman on the whole, basically looking at a bell curve, that women are just as good at physical sport as men. You'd be insane. You'd be insane to think that. And this has been the topic of debate for quite some time now. And anytime I hear the argument that no, women can do anything men can do, and especially talking physically, I have to believe they are not of sound mind. These days, it's very easy to get into a conversation with somebody and be able to discount everything they say. If you believe that, I don't want to hear anything else you have to say. I think it's something like Lionel would know this. In a court of law, if a witness tells a lie or what they are talking about is proved to be false, you can pretty much throw out their entire testimony. And anytime I'm talking to someone and they come up with something as insane as believing that women are completely right there online with men as far as sports go. And there are probably a couple of sports where women can head-to-head compete with men. And I mean, I don't know, ping pong. And that's a maybe. I've seen some crazy ping pong players. But picture a woman, any woman. I'm talking grab any woman. Put her against the best NFL team. Or even one player. Go 1-for-1. You have to run past a blocker. You're a woman. You got to run past this blocker. It just ain't going to happen. And I'm not even talking rule of thumb here or one woman, but it's the anomaly. Most women, but there might be one that's really strong. Get your strongest, craziest woman and put her against any NFL lineman. It just ain't going to happen. Get the best women in the world. Search the globe to find the greatest women's football team. Handpick them. And put them against the lowest rated NFL team of the year. The one that everyone's goofing on. The one that their city is just like, oh, God, maybe someday. Put them against the greatest women football players you can find any day. They will get creamed every play. Every play they will get creamed. Never mind, will they win or will they... Every play will be a disaster. So I think it's insane to think that that's a thing, that women can compete. But who am I to say when you have Pennsylvania State Senator Lindsey Williams, and she's got something to say that women are just as strong as men, not just as good in sports or anything, just as strong physically as men. Let's listen to Pennsylvania State Senator Lindsey Williams.
Female bodies are just as strong, as fast and capable as male bodies. For what reason, other than political gain, are we spending time and taxpayer dollars on a completely made-up issue? There are 8 million high school athletes across the country, and maybe 160 of them are trans. This is the 5th time we are voting on this bill that targets less than 0.002% of high school athletes. I was a 3-sport athlete in high school. Participating in sports gave me the confidence, time management skills, and ability to work collaboratively that led me to run for office. Absolutely nothing about having a trans teammate or competitor would have taken those things away from me.
Oh, God. First of all, yeah, you were in sports. How about if one of those .001, whatever it was, athletes competed against you and brought your confidence level down to nothing because you could never win. You could never win. What if you were gunning for a scholarship, a sports scholarship to get into college from high school, and you just missed because a guy beat the crap out of the entire rest of the team. Oh, but it's not a guy. It's really a woman. And the way she says that women are just as strong. We're not talking about that, which is wrong, by the way. Women aren't physically as strong or as fast physically as men. And then when you add trans men to the equation, you're not even in the same category. It's just, they're first of all terrible against other men. A trans woman won't even be able to compete against the worst man in the same sport. But as far as women go, they'll kick their ass every time. But they just want to believe this. Why? Virtue signaling? Can you go out and wave at your neighbor and go, I'm such a good person, and feel good about yourself by literally lying about basic biology? Here's another one. This is just a regular gal on social media talking about trans women, and the fact she actually says this are the purest form of women. Listen to this nonsense.
I truly think that trans women are the best of us. The best of us. And not only do I not think that they take anything away from my experience as a cis woman, I think that they are actually one of the purest forms of womanhood and highlight some of the most beautiful parts of womanhood. Because what do you mean that in our patriarchal society, you are going to throw away all of the privilege that you have as someone that was born a man and choose girlhood, even when it means you have a life expectancy of 40 and you instantly become the most at-risk woman in your society? Like, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Oh, okay.
How does any woman see someone fighting that hard?
I think we got enough of that. You know, it's funny. Her whole thing that they are the purest form of women, it goes hand in hand with the adoption thing. It's like, you're even more special because you were chosen. Which, you know, whatever. But it seems like you're making an excuse. They are not the most pure form of women. How about just do a quick X-ray, and you will see in a real woman, you will see a uterus, ovaries, fallopian tubes. Ooh, I don't want to get any crazier talking about what else is there, but quite frankly, that's a pure form of a woman. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. It's frightening, some of these people, the lengths they will go to contort the truth in order to just fit this agenda, this nonsense agenda that they have, that transgender women are women, and that it doesn't matter if they're in sports, because women themselves are just as capable physically as any man. These aren't even misconceptions. These are blatant lies. Lies. Can we go to Abbott from New Jersey? We'll take your calls. Wants to talk about women in football. Abbott, what's up, my friend?
Good evening. This is Abbott calling from Ridgewood.
I like that.
I heard your comments about the NFL. I don't believe a woman that becomes a man could even compete against a high school football team.
Thank you.
Much less college or NFL.
Ain't gonna happen in any way, shape, or form. You're absolutely right. And this has been done before. There have been people that have actually, you know, what was it? The women's championship soccer team played high school kids and got their asses handed to them. How do you think that would play out in any other sport? The same way.
I agree with you 100%.
And that's why I took your call, Abbott, because you agree with, I'm teasing, of course, but you have some sense in your head, even though you still live in Jersey.
The only sports I think that they're competitive in would probably be maybe golf, a little bit, and depending, and swimming, we know they can't compete in swimming because we just seen what the men do when they become women in swimming.
Hey, I bet.
It's just
I
unbelievable.
bet they have ladies' tees in golf. That should tell you everything you need to know even about golf. They have something called ladies' tees. So, while I agree with you, I don't think they're even good at as good at golf. No way. They can't hit a ball as far as a man can tee a ball, tee off on a ball. Just ain't going to happen. Abbott, thank you so much. We'll be taking more of your calls, and we'll be back in just a few. It's the Anthony Cumia Show. Anthony Cumia Show, thank you for tuning in. I'm kind of liking this whole thing. It's fun. Of course, another thing we do here, we call out the mainstream media, which has been nothing but a propaganda wing of the left for, I don't know. I was bamboozled for many, many years. So I would probably say very noticeably where I absolutely 100% knew they were propaganda. 15 years. I know I'm naive. What do you want? But looking back, I could see that it's just an insane amount of just propaganda coming out of left-wing propaganda. So we do a little thing called fake news here.
Now,
fake news, folks. Fake news.
It's the fake news.
Fake stories.
News moment.
This could be the easiest thing I ever have to find during my week because it's everywhere. Tomorrow, I will go through social media, news sites, emails, and I will find my fake news for next week because it's just rampant. This one is about, it's great because it's a fake news station, MSNBC, a fake news journalist, Rachel Maddow, and a fake news poll, the Gallup poll, talking about Trump. And all these three fakeries come together in just an astounding load of crap. And apparently, see, I didn't know this. People I've spoken with, and when I look on social media, and I don't live in a bubble, I try to follow a lot of people I am 100% at odds with as far as how things should be done. And I don't know, I talk to a lot of people, and I think people kind of like what's going on now under the Trump administration. Not love it. They don't have to love it. They don't have to love everything. But you'd be very, very hard-pressed to find people that think Harris was doing a bang-up job and Trump is ruining their legacy. Now, I go back to the beginning of the show talking about mental institutions. There are some people that should be in those buildings that do believe that. But the vast majority of rational Americans see what's going on. They love Doge, trying to find this corruption. They love the border being secured. They love the fact that we're not being reamed by our supposed allies in world economics, where we've just been the ATM for Earth for decades. And they say, this is good. I like the direction this is going in because it's strong. It's American. It does me well. It's like most people go, what does the president do that suits you as a citizen of America? This. I want to keep more of my tax dollars. And if I have to pay taxes, I certainly want it going to something that benefits me and my kind of my way of life, the way I look at America, my family. But, you know, I must be wrong because Rachel Maddow on MSNBC is reading the Gallup poll, the trifecta of lies, and telling me that, no, people are not happy with Donald Trump. Listen to this nonsense.
How does the American people like all of this? How does the American population feel about how things are turning out with Donald Trump being back in the White House, given that this is sort of the daily news now? New polling from Gallup just out today shows that there is no issue on which the American people like what Trump is doing. His disapproval ratings are higher than his approval ratings on everything. He is 18 points underwater on his handling of the economy. He is 19 points underwater on his relations with Russia. He's underwater on his handling of the federal budget, on energy policy, on foreign affairs, on the Ukraine war, on the environment, on even his relations with the dreaded news media. He is underwater on every single thing. New polling in the great state of Texas today shows that Trump's favorability rating in Texas has dropped 15 points since the election in November. He is now underwater, specifically in Texas, and dropping like a stone. Today, Donald Trump pulled the nomination of Congresswoman Elise Stefanik to be his new ambassador to the United Nations. So congratulations to the United Nations. But Trump admitted the reason why he pulled her nomination. He said the reason he pulled her nomination is because they don't want her to leave her seat in the House because the Republican majority is so thin. Now, if Elise Stefanik had left her seat in the House and become UN ambassador, which was the original plan, they would just hold an election to put somebody else in that seat, right? If another Republican was going to replace her in the House,
shut up!
Affect the size.
All right, enough. Oh, God, I want to apologize to everybody listening that I subjected you to that much Rachel effing Maddow. Oh, but I mean, really? The poll says that. Every indication I get from anyone I speak to is the exact opposite of what she's talking about. Gallup poll. Look in the mirror. When she runs, people go, look. Get it, Gallup? Anyhow, she is a disaster of lies. The Gallup poll. Enough! Rachel Maddow. All right, look. We're going to come back, taking your calls in a second. The Anthony Cumia Show. Thank you for tuning in. We greatly appreciate it. Let's take some phone calls. 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. Let's go to Matt in the big state of Montana. Matt, what's up? What's up, my friend?
Hey, what's up, man? How we doing?
Good. Hanging out, talking with Matt from Montana, apparently. What do you got, my friend?
I was wondering who you think the most cringe celebrity is.
Wow, there's
in the
so
vein of
many.
like John Cusack, what you played earlier.
Yeah, there's so many. Oh, God, I can't remember his name. Oh, he's in one of those Marvel movies. He's got like curly hair. I don't know. I can't spit it out right away. See, that's where I need to be up on my jack-off celebrities that are really just terrible people. But there's so many of them, dude. I mean, De Niro, obviously, I think he's destroyed his legacy of awesome movies and people really loving him. Yep.
Do you remember Robert De Niro? He was in the beginning of that French Brothers 9/11 documentary years ago.
Yeah.
Right. He says, "Hey, I'm Robert De Niro. I grew up a few blocks from here," and you know he tells the story, right?
Yeah.
He destroys his legacy to advocate for the same thing that is destroying New York City.
They have to read the script. They have to toe the company line. There is powers in play that go a lot deeper than we either know about or can safely talk about without being canceled and destroyed. And all these celebrities, Hollywood, it's part of it. It's this just bastion of evil people, of horrible, horrible atrocities that they perpetrated against other people. And then they get off the hook because, oh, he was good in that movie. He was funny. He's, likable. But I think the shine is wearing off. I think we're seeing through all this nonsense, and we'll see how far it goes. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, my good friend Matt. Let's go to Maurice. Maurice in the Bronx. What's up, Maurice?
I was just curious. Have you heard of the author F. Roger Devlin?
Wait. It sounds like you're saying F him. No, I get it. Roger Devlin. Yes.
You have? Okay, terrific. Well, for the uninitiated, he wrote a great book. It's Sexual Utopia and Power. And so far, he's come up with the greatest approach to dealing with the so-called transsexual and homosexual propaganda issue. Mm-hmm. And he points out, he just points out, we should just simply have no laws relevant to homosexuality or transsexuality at all.
That's a great take.
Homosexuals have been with us literally for time immemorial. It's just that they're so insignificant a percentage of the population, and nobody paid much attention to them.
That it shouldn't be. And like other groups, Maurice, doesn't it seem like everything is covered under our Constitution and the rights that are due us just for being? Why do they need these extra things thrown in that we need protection for race, sexuality, or anything else? If you're a person, a human being, and you live in this country, in America, you are protected by your God-given rights. Why do you need anything extra?
Right. I think that, elevating certain protected groups is unconstitutional because you're discriminating against the majority.
And we're seeing that in jolly old England. Boy, they just came up with a great new policy to where white men will be spending more time in prison for some of the same crimes that are committed by others just for the fact that they are white men.
Absolutely.
England has gone nuts, man.
Yeah, it's absolute insanity. Keir Starmer is probably the British version of Vladimir Lenin. I mean, you can't get more left wing than him.
No.
And with regard to the Labour Party in Britain, it's as socialist, it's as cultural Marxist as the Democratic Party in the United States, and they haven't learned their lesson.
They were crowing about the diversity in the Labour Party over there. They couldn't get enough. It was like this mass self-pleasuring. They were looking at each other, talking about the great thing about the Labour Party is that they are so diverse. And it's like, what is that doing? Is that actually figuring out to be, profitable? Is it good for the country? Is it good for the people? Nothing they're doing over there is good for Brits. And it's hard to watch.
And one last thing. With regard to British left-wing politics and what left-wing politicians have done, they've opened the borders to immigration the same way they've done here, to the point where by the end of this century, 2100, Britons will be a minority in their own country, and that's happening all over Western Europe because of these left-wing lunatic Marxist politicians. I mean, they need to be thrown out and they need to be tried for treason and executed. That's what really needs to happen to them.
It would be a novel change to what we've seen of late. Maurice, thank you, my friend. There goes the wonderful Maurice. There's something I wanted to touch on here. I got a few minutes. It's Greenland. The Greenland thing is, first of all, it's hilarious. Because again, like I was saying to Lionel, I think Trump does a lot of trolling. I think he does. But I don't think Greenland is a troll. He's pissing off so many people. I'm gonna annex Greenland. If the military is what it takes, we get it, Greenland. Great country, big country. We're going to take Greenland for some reason. But I was looking into this, and knowing Trump from what I've seen over the course of the years with him, this kind of makes sense in a Trumpian way. Greenland It's a quarter the size of the United States. It looks a lot bigger on a globe, or not on a globe, on a map than it is in real life. On a globe, it kind of looks like the regular size. But truth of the matter is, it's kind of like the Midwest. It takes up the space in the United States that the Midwest would take up. There are 57,000 people living there. Wyoming has 10 times the population. And go to Wyoming. I defy you to find a person. Like, Wyoming is a relatively big state, one of those big square states out west. And it has 10 times that. It's got like about 570 or 600,000 people living in Wyoming. And it's empty. So Greenland doesn't have a lot of people in it. Their export, what do they export? There must be something. What is Trump going for here? They must have uranium, plutonium. They must have something. Their biggest export, non-fillet frozen fish and crustaceans. Yes, non-fillet frozen fish and crustaceans. Now, I love a good king crab leg, but I don't think Trump is threatening military intervention for taking Greenland. Here's what I think Trump is up to. Tell me if I'm wrong or if this is kind of feasible. There are a lot of disenfranchised citizens of a lot of different countries, especially in Europe. Germany, France, Spain, Italy, England. You see all these things happening, and the regular old people, the people that for generations have lived their life, grown up, lived their lives, their ancestry comes from that, are now the second-class citizens. I can't tell you how many tweets I saw from people, dignitaries. Just trying to find a sheet of paper here. From dignitaries about this Eid Mubarak, the end of Ramadan. And every leader of every nation is wishing everyone a great Eid. Is it Eid Mubarak? Whatever it is. The end of the Ramadan fast. And they cannot talk up the benefits of having Muslims in their country more. They pour it on. And I think the citizens that have been there for generations are going, huh? What? I'm not seeing the real benefit here. It's a little, it's not quite what it used to be. Everything you remember, if you're any older than this generation, it's a Britain that was British. These are English people, the old empire. The sun never sets on the British Empire. That's gone. That's gone. You have these politicians and people that have just destroyed a culture. Keir Starmer, Sadiq Khan, they have just taken what Britain was and bastardized it, just turned it into what they wanted it to be. Now, here's my thing about Greenland and Trump. What if Trump wants to bring over disenfranchised citizens of some of these countries that are being flooded with third world burdens, and now you have a new America? Not America like the mainland United States. We're filled up. There's too much garbage going on where you can't bring in people exclusively from certain countries that would prosper and innovate and do well. So we get Greenland and we make it the new American frontier, right? So now the new America, hardworking, adventurous, innovative people from countries who take them for granted and treat them like those second-class citizens, just like America was a couple of 100 years ago. Think about that. Wagons ho! Yo, ho, wagons, ho. People would go east from the original 13 colonies, and they would head east, and deals were made, Louisiana Purchase, and then the drive westward. Oh, there were some problems. But sea to shining sea, we're America. Some problems in between that we had to deal with. But, as I say, Trump might be doing this. So I looked a little deeper. I'm like, even though fish and crabs are Greenland's biggest exports right now, they have oil. They have oil, natural gas. They have mineral deposits that look like every single thing that goes into a Tesla battery. But no one's mining. They're barely mining. And as far as drilling, oil and natural gas, it's banned in Greenland for environmental reasons. And that is because of, and here it comes, folks, hold on to your seats, the indigenous people of Greenland. Yes. Inuits, not idiots. I said Inuits. These are Eskimos. There are actually Eskimos in the world. I swear to you. About 50,000 of them. 7,000 are other people living in Greenland, but for the most part, it's Inuits. They live all over. Most of it is the lower, like Canada. You know, Canada's got this insane tundra of cold, so most of the Canadians live right on the American border. And Greenland's kind of similar. I think 2/3 of their country is in the Arctic Circle. So the lower part is the part I think Trump's concentrating on. He's going to make it where we can start inviting over disenfranchised, brilliant people from nations that aren't known to maybe be crap holes. Smart people. People who are up for a challenge. Innovative people. People that could be placed somewhere on the globe and take the weather and the terrain, geography, take that all into consideration and go, yeah, we could do this and set up a civilization. America too. And we don't have to take, like, it could be different than the rules to taking in people here in this country. We could just take in people that are completely productive, wonderful, productive people. Wouldn't that be awesome? I think it would be. And it might be something that he's doing. I don't know. Well, who am I to say? Think I know what Trump's up to at any given moment of the day? But it seems like a Trump thing, doesn't it? Doesn't it seem like something Trump would do? I think so. Anyway, that's my whole take on Greenland, because there's no other real reason to be so into it. If we want the minerals, we can make a deal with them. They're Indians, you know. Look at Manhattan. Google it. You'll see what it took to get Manhattan. I don't think the minerals are a problem, but I think getting a bunch of amazing Europeans into Greenland to build an entire new industrial country would be fantastic. Take in South Africans. There's South African farmers that are being murdered after the fall of apartheid. Germany. We see what's happened in Germany. The poor bastards. They tried to launch a rocket the other day. I've launched higher rockets when I was into Estes model rockets. This thing crashed. It blew up, and it's like, look up Operation Paperclip. You'll love it. France, England. I talked to a lot of people from England, and they're disgusted with what's going on. Ireland, they're disgusted with just Rosie O'Donnell moving there. I'm not kidding. So this is maybe a theory. I think I might have touched on a theory about why Donald Trump is so damn interested in Greenland. It's kind of a troll. And again, the weather, I understand it's cold. There have been people in this world that have moved to the coldest climates and made unbelievable strides. And that's who we're looking for the new Greenland America. I see it happening. We'll be back in moments. Don't move. Anthony Cumia Show. Welcome back, Anthony Cumia Show. I'm digging it. Digging the calls. This whole thing. Kind of a nice arrangement. It's a nice arrangement. Guys. What are we looking at here? Oh, my God. All right, I got my papers. I kind of went off crazy on some of my material because I got it all written down here like a pro. And then I do things that I did earlier, and then I don't hit on things that I meant to. But it doesn't matter. I'm packed with stuff. Quickly, this is just a quick thing because I wasn't even going to do this, and then I saw it right before showtime. Rachel Zegler, who was in that Snow White movie, that bombed severely. And I will totally blame her. It's completely her fault. You can have a crappy movie, but if you go out there and smile and wink and wave, you'll do as good as you can do. If you really want to screw the pooch, do what she did. Obnoxious, narcissistic, just crapping all over the whole franchise, the whole way that Disney supposedly worked years ago. I guess there's still people that remember, but it's her fault. And then I quickly saw this. Sean Lennon, John and Yoko's kid, went public and just started giving her the how do you do on how she screwed this whole thing up. And I found that funny because I don't know much about Sean Lennon, but I would assume with his father's past and Yoko and the whole, groovy thing, that he would be a lefty. Maybe not. Maybe not. He talked about Ziegler's controversial conduct amid filming and the press that she did. While he acknowledges that the backlash may have gone too far, Lennon didn't mince words when it came to his personal view of the 23-year-old actress, labeling her behavior as that of a spoiled, ungrateful, disconnected brat. No. Once poised to be Disney's crown jewel of its live-action remake arsenal, Snow White now appears to be the studio's most fraught endeavor to date. The musician and producer, Sean, 48, generally maintains quiet presence online. That's what got me. But he felt urged to speak out on this occasion. I agree with vilification. Went too far. But also, she also acts like a spoiled, ungrateful brat. So it's no surprise. He doesn't think she's a nice person. And this is kind of what everyone thought. How long is that going to take? How long will it take until Hollywood realizes that the majority of people are not bamboozled by Hollywood anymore? How about that? We don't really care about Hollywood and how awesome you people are. It's embarrassing. Just embarrassing. Joaquin from the great state of Pennsylvania. Joaquin, what's up, my friend?
Hey, Mr. Cumio, you know what? Welcome to WABC. I'm actually glad to listen to you. And the funny thing is, I didn't like O&A. I was a big Stern fan. And I
hear you. No, I love it. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
I have a great loathing and disdain for Howard Stern.
It happened.
He became a COVID coward.
Happened over time. He became Hollywood Howie.
There you go. But, this is all about the destruction of Judeo-Christian Western civilization. And I hate to even say it because it almost actually seems to, play into the white replacement theory stuff, which I really hate to go that way, but
right.
Quite frankly, actually, it's a globalist communist agenda that's taking everything over. and it's taken over our media. It's taken over our educational system and entertainment. And you know, Musk and Trump, those two guys were loved by the left.
Yep.
Until the day that Donald Trump came down the escalator. And when I heard the things that Donald Trump wanted to do as president, I was on Team Trump from day number one, and he has not let down.
No, he's got balls, which is, you know, that's what you got to be. People forget about our old presidents. You know, speak softly, but carry a big stick. Imagine saying that now. They'd be like, a big stick, violence. He's saying that people should hit people with sticks. Like, no, it's just an attitude that a president needs. A president needs to command and be strong and have certain sayings. I don't know, things that make it remind the country that, hey, I got your back. I'm not going to fold and roll over for these other countries in the world that have been just screwing us for decades.
That's right. And you know something? The elimination of the Department of Education is actually very brilliant because you know, these blue cities and states, you know, these were they were the ones for the open border policies and allowed the flooding of immigrants to come to their states. Guess what? The Department of Education has nothing to do with curriculum. Has to do with money. So guess what?
Money.
Now we can cut off the money, and the rest of us do not have to pay for this for these illegal immigrants or whatever you want to call them that these states want to put the bill for.
Yes, great point, because, you know, people think doing away with the Department of Education means doing away with children's education. It has nothing to do with that. It has been the biggest boondoggle waste of money and resources. And look at the statistics. It doesn't take much. It has done nothing but bring down the education of American children. It's terrible. I don't know what they expect from the Department of Education, but they didn't get it. Joaquin, thank you, man. Appreciate it. We will be right back in a matter of moments. A lot more of the show left. Don't fret. And what else did I want to talk about here? Because wait a minute. It was Mark Ruffalo. That's what I wanted to say. We'll be right back. The Anthony Cumia Show. Our amazing third hour. Let's go right back to the phones for a minute here. Steve from Brooklyn has comments on Greenland. I don't know, because I threw something out there, and let's see what Steve has to say. Steve, what's up, my friend?
It's strange that you brought that up tonight. I had a parallel idea about Greenland as a U.S. protectorate, whereby people would come and like new colonies and new wagon trains, a little like the U.S. Virgin Islands or Guam. Not everyone realizes that we have the islands and also Puerto Rico is a protectorate, not a state. None of these places have a vote.
Right.
But the idea would be that the natural resources are wonderful. People could come and make careers there. Amongst the Inuits, I spent time up in Alaska, and I met a lot of Tlingit and Haida Indians there.
Steve, was it cold?
Well, I was there during the warm weather months.
I just wanted to make sure it was cold. Okay.
But there are loads of glaciers and icebergs anyway. But the point is, when you said this, I said, so it's not so crazy. This would be our second Alaska, our second wonderful so-called Seward's Folly. Because I'm old enough to remember when we studied American history, and Seward was laughed at, and so was the president, who I think was either Lincoln or Grant afterwards. Forget who.
Yeah, Steve, real quick, did you remember studying American history when it was presented as a good thing? Because that's amazing. Because I remember that too, Steve. I remember when we went through American history as a child, and it was presented like, look how amazing the people that built this country were. So, Steve, continue. I just wanted to bring that up because not many people really know that. It was actually a good thing at one point.
Well, I'm in my mid-70s, so I went to New York City public schools, and I do remember when history was actually taught, the good, the bad, the ugly, to quote that movie title. Sure. And Yes, there were brilliant moves. The Alaska was not our first purchase. There was the Louisiana purchase, the Gadsden purchase, the Oregon tract, and all of the various additions to what was viewed then as manifest destiny, meaning manifest meant it should be obvious to everyone. Isn't that interesting?
Right. It should be obvious to everyone. It's our destiny to have this. And
that's exactly
why should that stop? Why should that have stopped? There wasn't a date. It didn't say manifest destiny will go until this time or this date. It just stopped. And why? Why should it?
Well, all right. We're going to get into a whole history, but there was the Monroe Doctrine and the manifest destiny.
Mr. Hand was teaching that in Fast Times.
It was ocean to ocean. You know, the way these days they say from sea to the river. Yeah. Well, back then they were thinking in America from ocean to ocean, from the Atlantic to the Pacific.
Right.
And Alaska was laughed at being far away. Well, how do we think about it now, Sparky, I would say to all those fools that laughed at the Seward folly? We only paid $12 million for all of Alaska, which extends 6 time zones across the Pacific and touches and brushes like a brush.
An amazing purchase, my friend. An amazing purchase from the Ruskies, yes.
Exactly. And now the Russians wish they had it back again for all the minerals and stuff. They're saying, why the hell did we ever sell it to those Americans, the Amerikanskis?
Well, they made a mistake, and what are you going to do about it? Steve, I do have to move on to other calls. I would love to get into the history of the Monroe Doctrine. Bring your textbook. Yeah. What are you on, dope? You were teaching what Mr. Hand taught in Fast Times. But thank you.
We used a particular textbook that was very popular in American high schools. It was by Palmer and Colton. It was called The American Pageant. Oh. And the very title...
You know,
the title itself.
Yeah.
The title itself, a pageant, means something to celebrate and enjoy.
Of course. Enjoy, celebrate America.
But the book included all of our warts and blemishes. Every country has blemishes. We are the worst of all possible countries except for all the others.
Well, thank you, Steve. You've enlightened some people tonight, and I appreciate your call. There goes Steve. What are you, people on dope? Where's Steve? Is he still on campus? The Monroe Doctrine. Yeah, you know, I like touching on things here. I like touching on a bit of history. I like that history kind of gives us a little indication of where we might be headed. But I can't really get into protracted conversations about history here. You'll have to join me on my protracted conversations on history show that I'll probably be doing here at some point. But still going with the phones. Let me hold on. All right, this guy's good. Olena, is it a girl? Olena, is that a drug? Is that a weight loss drug? Olena, what's up?
Well, I'm a woman.
I can tell.
Thank you for taking my call. I am a first-time caller. I've listened to a few of your shows, and I love it.
Thank you, Olena. I love this. It's a whole new audience I'm getting.
Yes.
On broadcast radio. I love it. Thank you, Olena. You want to talk about, obviously, the comments, men and women sports, and it's a big
Anthony,
topic.
But before I touch that, can I just give you one more comment about your show?
Please do.
I love your show because it is a different form of journalism. I have never heard your style.
Interesting.
You have humor, you have storytelling, and your variety of subjects is marvelous.
I love really appreciate it. You don't even know how much I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much, I'm going to clip this call and send it to every boss I have up there.
You do that, and
thank
Mr.
you, Olena.
Might like it.
I appreciate that, Olena. I really do.
Okay.
What's your take on this men and women sports nonsense?
Yes. If I can share my thoughts about that nonsense, I have a very critical question to all that nonsense. Now, years ago, we all read and we heard and we know about the Book of Creations. So we know that there was an Adam, and then someplace along the line he got lonely, so they pulled out a rib and made a woman.
Not Adam and Steve. All right.
Okay, now, Anthony.
Yes.
Are some men wanting to get their rib back?
It looks that way. Boy, that's one option. Pandora's box has been open. Adam's rib cage has been open. There are some things that cannot be turned back. We must look to the future and look how we can improve upon everything, past mistakes, other things that get thrown in our way. I think part of being a human being and a person and a sentient being is being able to deal with a lot of speed bumps that are thrown in front of us and persevere and move on.
You're absolutely right. But if you go back to that book of creation, that was chapter 1. I wonder, how are we going to do this rib transfer in chapter 2?
Well, I think that will sort itself out, because if we keep going the way we are going, we're going to notice that we're not doing the right thing.
That's for sure.
Is this book you're talking about, is it available audio? Because I don't read.
Well, actually, this book is the Bible.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
The Old Testament.
Alina, I know.
I know,
my
you
dear.
know.
Alina, thank you so much for the call and the compliment, and I appreciate your support. I really do. Thank you so much. There goes Alina. Was I supposed to do a heart out? Oh, boy. Was I? I did it, didn't I? I did it. No. I don't even know where. There it is. 17. I'm trying to figure out the times, because this third, I can. Yeah, the third hour is like new to me. So I'm just looking at paper. There it is. How about... Ooh. Yeah, here's another one. Lisa, a girl. Lisa, thank you.
Hi, Anthony. Love your show.
Thank you. Did the screener tell you to say that?
No, I was not paid or prompted to do that.
Oh, thank God.
It's all me.
You know, some shows, they do that. Hi, Lisa, we're going to put you on with Anthony, but could you please say, I love the show? But thank you. I'm glad that didn't happen. Montana, I had just been talking about Montana and your population and the fact that it's a very big state. What do you do up there in Montana, Lisa?
I just retired from the U.S. Postal Service. I was with the post office 38 years.
So you're one of the crazy people that I talked about that should be institutionalized at this point in your life, right? Dude.
At times, yes.
So you were in the post office during that time where people had the term "going postal."
Absolutely. How did
you feel about that?
We all agree that there's one person at every large post office that is voted most likely to come back and kill everybody.
Yeah, I think everyone knows that, and I don't think it's changed. I don't know why we haven't heard about as many postal employees going what they call postal, but other people are filling those gaps. Lisa, thank you for calling, and what do you want to talk about?
I wanted to talk about a sport that is equal between men and women.
Ooh.
And it's horse show jumping, because it's the skill of the rider. So men and women do compete against each other equally. They make tons of money. The horse is the one that's doing the work, and the horse is also strong and talented, but the person on the horse's back is the one that gets it to go over the course flawlessly in a certain amount of time. But they do compete evenly in horse show jumping.
Now, this is you bring up a great topic here, because isn't it the horse? Like, isn't the horse doing the physical work? And, it's like saying, hey, if a guy is driving a car or a girl's driving a car, aren't they? Oh, wait, that doesn't work either. A plane. Let's say a plane. Oh, wait, that doesn't work either. No, but I know what you're saying. I was raised in an equestrian town, San Juan Capistrano, California, when I was a kid, and I rode horses. I rode Gymkhana. I did barrel cloverleaf and pole bending when I was a kid. And yes, the girls could be just as good as the guys in that sport. But again, you're not talking about on your girl legs as opposed to guy legs, and your girl arm throwing something as opposed to the guy arm. So while I appreciate it is a sport and guys and girls can both compete in it and do equally as well, it's kind of the horse, isn't it?
Well, it's also the skill of the rider, but as far as I know, there are no transgender show jumpers yet. But maybe I've just opened a can of worms.
Well, the gelding of the horse might come into play, but I don't know. Lisa, thanks so much. Appreciate your
All right,
call.
Anthony. Thank you.
There goes Lisa from the great state of Montana. We sure get some calls from faraway lands, that's for sure. I kind of want to finish up before the break with this Yankee torpedo bat thing. Maybe we could clear the phone lines, because I want to get some people that want to talk about this bat thing. Apparently, after, I don't know, how old is baseball? 1800s. And they've had the bat and the ball, and they've come up with different things. I know gloves. I've seen different gloves. But we are at a point in the spring of 2025 where a new baseball bat has completely screwed up everything. So there's a torpedo bat. And if you haven't seen what this is, take a baseball bat, and then they look very closely at where the batter is connecting the bat with the ball. And if it's off the tip of the bat, the fatter part, bats are tapered. You get a fat, heavy part of the bat at the tip. You're getting more mass. More mass is moving. And when it hits the ball, you're getting more energy. But some hitters don't hit it at that point. They hit it lower by the label, they call it. So they just decided, let's make the bat fatter at that point, and we'll taper it skinnier to the tip because he's hitting it down further on the bat. And I don't know if it's coincidence or what have you, but the Yankees have been smashing the baseball out of the park. And I've read the stuff. Yankee Stadium's a little play school park. It's a Disney park. It's a, pussy park. The walls aren't that far. So it doesn't matter. Home run. Anyone could hit a home run in Yankee Stadium. We'll do it. And timing-wise, it does certainly seem that these bats are really having an effect on home runs. I think they got like 12 yesterday. They got like 8 today. It's been insane how many. They're close to a record of how many home runs they've gotten. Any team has gotten in the first few games of a season. So I don't know what it is. I would like to hear Mad Dog's take on it. What are these torpedo bats, Mikey? I don't understand. They put a fatter part of the bat on it. It sounds like cheating to me. I certainly wouldn't have my San Francisco Giants would be using a fake bat to hit home runs in their park. Yankees are a bought team. They're a cheat team. That's all there'll ever be. Mikey. I would love to hear his take on the torpedo bat. But it is interesting. Let me talk to Chris. Chris, I love it. Chris from Long Island. He is a baseball guy. Chris, what's up, man?
What's up? All right, Yankee bats. Let's get this off the deck here. First of all, the bat is 100% legal.
All right. People might argue this. People are going to argue this.
It's legal according to the baseball rules. Now, the Yankees, what they did was, in their brilliance, they hired a guy back in 2024, some brilliant scientist guy from MIT, because baseball is like other sports, and they've all gone analytics-driven. So everything is about numbers on the computer now. So this guy figured out that they took Anthony Volpe, the Yankee shortstop, and they looked at all of his contact throughout the year and found out that he was hitting the ball mostly on the bat towards where the label on the bat.
But how is it legal to change the geometry of a bat to be more massive where he hits the ball? How is that legal?
Because the bat size is written in the baseball rules that it can only be a certain width around the fattest part of the bat, and they have not bypassed that.
They never dictated where the fattest part has to be. It doesn't have to be at the very top of the bat. It could taper up and then taper back down.
Correct. It's only specified where the widest part of the bat has to measure, but it could be on the handle if you wanted to go some goofy route. It would still be legal,
pretty goofy,
according to the Major League Baseball rules.
Right. I would love to talk about this at length, but I have to take another break. Chris, thank you very much. I'll probably see you later online playing golf. There goes Chris. His voice was familiar. No, the good thing is Chris knows a lot about baseball. We will be right back in a matter of moments. Don't go anywhere. Anthony Cumia Show. John from Memphis has a take on this torpedo bat that's been taking over the conversation of baseball. John, what's up, man?
Ant-Man, how we doing?
Ant-Man, you pain in the ass. Great. I'm doing good, John. How you doing, man?
I'm okay. I was just going to say, I found it pretty interesting that and I don't know if you touched on this, but the guy that made the torpedo bat is actually a physicist from MIT.
Yeah. Chris brought that up. Why wasn't this known about like 5, 10, 100 years ago?
Couldn't answer that. It seems like baseball is getting a little gimmicky lately.
You think it's a gimmick? Put some asses in some seats to see who uses the torpedo bat and hits some home runs. Because Judge is, what is he, 4 home runs in 2 games? Something like that. He's doing very well with this torpedo bat.
Well,
if he's even using it.
Someone told me that Judge wants nothing to do with it.
Oh, okay. So he's not even using it. So that should prove right there it has nothing to do with anything. Judge is slamming these things. He's already almost at a record for home runs at the beginning of the season. So I don't know. It's like 2 guys are using this torpedo bat. And it's making all kinds of controversy.
Yeah, Volpe and someone else. Yeah. But if I can, I would wanted to tell you a story, touching back on your point about women and men's sports, if I can, really quick.
Big topic. I get you. Go ahead, John.
Okay, really quick. So my buddy is really into the jiu-jitsu and the Muay Thai and all those combat sports and everything. Mm-hmm. And he really wanted me to go to his gym and learn all this stuff. So I did, and there's this girl there, the girl boss, I can do anything a man can do.
Oh, yeah. I know the story.
Of course. And she's there, and she's a 2nd degree black belt, whatever that is. And she's throwing the
for a
all
girl, a 2nd degree black belt for a girl.
yeah, exactly. Whatever. Yeah, I think it sounds more made up than anything.
Yeah, go against Rogan. Ball. Have her go and roll with Rogan and see how that works out. That black belt.
Well, I mean, she saw me, and I don't know if it's because she could tell I was a beginner or if she just wanted to impress, the people around. But she called me out. She wanted to go. And, I wasn't experienced at all. I was a nothing belt. So, I didn't know what I was stepping into. And we start to roll, and she could not pin me as hard as she tried.
Yeah.
And I was completely inexperienced. And I just, that was when the point really was hammered home that, as hard as they try, it'll never be equal. And it's embarrassing that
it's such basic human anatomy. It's human biology and anthropology. It's just, you ever have a girl that goes, come on, arm wrestle me. I'm wrestling. I'm wrestling. And you're like, all right. And you're just standing there, and it's like I picked up luggage easier. It's nothing. It's so you push and you kid with them, and then you just slam them down on the table. And it's like, yeah, what do you mean? You can't beat me. It's just basic humanity, human anatomy. I don't know where they come off with this nonsense, but thank you, John. Memphis, huh? How's Memphis looking these days?
Anthony, it's rough.
I hear you, man. It's
I'm originally
terrible.
I'm originally from Newark, and
so you upgraded.
I think that it
you upgraded.
I think that it fits the bill as being worse. I might be wrong, but
all right, John.
I love
be
your
well,
show, buddy. You're doing a great job.
Thank you, John. Keep your head on a swivel. Oh my God! All right, one more about this ridiculous bat thing. Michael from Manhattan. What's up, Michael?
Yes, hello. I'm enjoying your show. This whole discussion reminds me of the George Brett incident, the bat tar.
The corked bat or the tar. That was Targate or Corkgate? There's always a gate.
No, neither. What happened was Billy Martin knew that the rule was a little bit broken by the amount of pine tar and how far it went on the bat.
Right. It was too high up on the bat or something.
And then he comes out and he talks to the umpires, and they call him out. And George Brett, who used to be a football player, he comes out and they had to restrain him. And then the headquarters decided to play the game again, and then the Royals won the game. And in addition to this, I have a soupy sales joke that is probably borderline, but there's nothing dirty in it. When he went to a baseball game, he kissed his girlfriend between the strikes, and she kissed him between the balls.
All right, I get it. It's a baseball vernacular. I understand.
Yeah, it's a cute joke. I thought you'd appreciate
Michael,
that.
Thank you, man. It goes, Michael. I can't help but think that this torpedo bat thing with the Yankees, especially, it falls right into the Costanza wheelhouse. This is so Seinfeld. Like when Costanza was working for the Yankees, the story would have to be that Kramer knows some brilliant guy at MIT and tells George that he developed a new bat. So Kramer gets the bat from his friend at MIT, gives it to George, who gives it to the Yankees, and they start hitting home runs. But then, of course, something goes wrong, and it turns into a complete catastrophe for George, the Yankees, and everyone else involved. That's my take, and I'm sticking with it. Tim Walz, who could be clown of the week every week. This guy, I don't know what he's doing. How do you start running for president 2 months, 3 months into the current president's tenure? Trump is going to be president for 4 more years, give or take. And Tim Walz is out campaigning. I don't know what else you could call it. No one wants to hear from this guy, but he's out campaigning. So Tim Walz says, this is a great clip. He says the Democrats, everything he says is ridiculous. The Democrats should have owned their liberal policies. Now, didn't they? Isn't that why they lost the election? Because they did own every one of their garbage liberal policies. Everything, the whole drag queen story hour, the wide open borders, their allies were the worst of the Hollywood and Washington Beltway liberal criminals. But for some reason, Tim Walz thinks that the mistake the Democrats made and the reason that Kamala and him did not win the election was because the Dems didn't do enough to own those garbage policies that everyone hated. And here, look, you don't believe me. Here's Tim Walz actually saying it. Let's listen to Tim.
That our strength is our diversity. We've been talking about this for years as a country of immigrants, and we let them define the issue on immigration. We let them define the issue on DEI, and we let them define what woke is. We got ourselves in this mess because we weren't bold enough to stand up and say, you damn right we're proud of these policies. We're going to put them in, and we're going to execute them.
Are you out of your mind? Like, that was the problem? Yes. Yes, Trump, the Republicans, conservatives, the right wing, we defined DEI. We defined all of those things accurately. You don't think for the 4 years of Biden-Harris and then the campaign of Harris-Walz that they didn't define what their position was on these issues? Of course they did. It made them lose. That's exactly what it was. This guy is running around like the number one candidate. I can only imagine. Look, I have to imagine that some Democrats are looking and going, why is this you ever see a tire come off a car and it just rolls down the highway and it's people trying to avoid it and it hits the median and then it just jets into traffic again? That's Tim Walz. And the Democrats are like, why? What is this guy doing? First of all, no one starts a campaign right after the opposition wins the election. You want things to die down a bit, especially if you were the vice presidential candidate. Go away for a little while. Put your head in the sand. Disassociate yourself with Kamala Harris and Barack Obama and all those policies that obviously failed miserably as your vice presidential platform. This guy's coming out of the gate like everything they said was gold and somehow no one heard it. It's brilliant. What an idiot. He's just an idiot. Avi in the great Garden State of New Jersey. Avi, what's up?
Anthony, I cannot believe the day has come that you are back on terrestrial or in radio in general. I am super hyped.
You don't believe it. How about me? I get it, my friend.
Congratulations, and it's appointment radio for me on Sundays going forward. And I've been listening to you on your Compound show for years, and I'm not old enough to say I listened before that, but you are truly one of a kind, and God bless.
Thank you, man. I do appreciate hearing that, and thank you. Back in the old days, Avi, I used to be on a Shock Jock radio show. Give me my elixir. Thank you, Avi. I do appreciate that you are listening. It's such an odd thing for me because I'd been out of broadcast radio for so long, and like I said, internet stuff and podcasting, it's such a different animal than broadcast radio. And when people talk about things like riding a bike, when it comes to radio, you better know how to ride that bike. Because people say, it's like riding a bike. You just get back on and you ride. And there are certain circumstances in broadcasting where that comes into play. But boy, everyone will know if you can't ride that bike. So you better be able to do it. Leon, I love Leon. Leon from the Bronx. Leon, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm excellent. How are you, sir?
It's been a while. Leon calls my internet show every so often, and I appreciate his input. Leon, what's going on, man?
I'm just curious as to what the end game is for this transgender sports, because there are no leagues that women play in,
right,
to my knowledge, that have transgendered athletes. Like, I have never seen a transgender WNBA player. I don't believe we have any in soccer. So what is the end game of messing with female sports? I'm just curious.
I think great question too, but I think it has to do with what they were doing before this Trump presidency. We get in 2 years into this Trump presidency. I really think all this will be gone, a distant fossil of the past. This was used to make power plays in certain areas, like the Democrats, the liberals. They used transgender people to try to, I don't know, intimidate, get other things passed by using this as a distraction. They don't care. I can't imagine there's actually a Democrat politician that gives the flying you-know-what to anything having to do with transgender women playing with women. It's just, it was a good ploy that they could use to try to get other things, a negotiating tool.
But by destroying a institution of female athletics, to prove what point?
Oh, yeah. Well, they don't care. That's just it. Leon, how many times have you seen these people, Kamala and Chuck Schumer and Maxine Waters, all of them come up, and here's what they talk about, how much they care. We care about the American people here on the Democrat side. We care about feeding children. We care about jobs. They don't care. I don't care about my own family as much as they profess to care about total strangers. And I adore my family. But they don't, to buy into them getting on TV and looking at Chuck Schumer's goddamn face and saying, this guy cares about anyone but himself. It's all garbage. It's all lies. And it goes to everything. The women, the transgender in women's sports, the taxman, like anyone would be cheering. If you generally didn't pick sides, Democrat or Republican, you'd be cheering that anyone was looking into where is my tax money going, and is it going to some nonsensical programs half the world away that have nothing to do with me. And you think anyone would want that, but they look you straight in the camera, you know, by proxy into your face, and lie and say it's a bad thing.
So my quick next point would be, what is it that they are seeing that they think they're doing good that everybody else is just so oblivious to? Like Jasmine Crockett, I look at her and I'm listening to her and I'm like, who's buying this?
I know.
Outside of, you know, the uneducated masses. And I believe that even some of them have to be going, dang, this girl really is really ghetto. Like, I'm really trying to get my life together, but she's even making me look bad. Like, what do they see that everybody else doesn't?
Leon, the greatest clip of her is when she was just out of college, I think, and she is speaking so articulately and wonderful, like a Huxtable, like
she's a straight up Huxtable, dude. I love black people like that because I go, God Almighty, just go get you a cardigan, and you know, it is Leon, absolutely ridiculous.
Leon, me and you have spoken because you know you're a black man in the Bronx, New York.
Yes,
and you get embarrassed by some of the stuff you see, and I get like, I feel bad saying some stuff because I'm like, there's Leon. Leon has a job. Leon has responsibilities. Leon does what he needs to do to be a productive American in America.
Human being.
And I can't imagine having such a large swath of people that are going to be me. Like, people are going to see it as me, just screwing up by the numbers, and I have to go, oh, God, it's not me, for the love of God. Please don't look at me like that.
I have now perfected the Patrice scrunch. If you ever met me in person and we were outside for 5 minutes, my face is turned up completely because of everything that I'm seeing on a regular basis. Man.
I get it.
I'm just completely to the entire world right now. Like, into the woods I go, and away from society, it sounds like the most peaceful thing on the planet. So I don't have to deal with anybody.
Hang in there, Leon. Hang in there, brother.
Be calling in.
I love it. We're sorting this all out, Leon. We're sorting this all out.
I don't know if we got enough time for it, but we're going to try.
Have a good one, Leon. Take it easy, man. Yeah, Leon. I've spoken to Leon so many times, and he's so like on the money. And I've been called to the carpet for my racial views on some things over the course of the years. And fact of the matter is, there are people like Leon out there. The guy's doing the right thing. He's doing everything he needs to do. And then he's the one. If I say it, I get jammed up. I get in trouble. He's living it. And he says it. Same stuff I'm saying. And he's just got to put his head in his hand and go, what? When? I love him. Leon's a good guy, man. A good guy. Do I take this call? Oh, my God. Gino in Jersey.
Yo, what's up, my brother?
All right, it's not that Gino. No, I'm teasing, of course. Gino, what's up, my friend?
This Kamala Harris.
Oh, it's Kamala. How you doing? You've been away for a while. I would think you'd come out and talk about all those wonderful things you had planned. And just because you lost the presidency doesn't mean you can't keep doing those amazing things you would have done as president.
Hello there.
Hello there. All right. Thank you, Gino. What am I going to get? What am I going to get from the likes of Gino? This is a question that comes up every so often. Billy in Rockland. Billy in the great Rockland County. What's up, Rockland, Billy?
Anthony Cumia.
How you doing, man?
How about the old crew coming back, like the Dice Man, the J Moore Man?
In time, I'll be honest with you, and there are some comics I don't know about where they stand with me. I've been in some very big controversies as far as show business, broadcasting, radio, podcasting goes. So a lot of these guys in entertainment, they want to steer clear of controversy. They don't want to upset another guy that might prevent them from getting a job somewhere. So I don't know. I'm reaching out to a few people, and a few people have reached out to me, and I'd gladly have them on. But, I think I'm in a healing phase here where people have to see what I'm doing here on broadcast radio and realize, oh, he's not just going off like that maniac that he could be. So we'll see. We'll see, Billy.
Great show, Anthony. Thanks for being on the air.
Thank you, my friend. I do appreciate it. And I really do. I was watching this country singer guy, Morgan Whalen. Is it Whalen? Because if you're going to be a country guy with Whalen in your name, spell it like Waylon Jennings. Even if your real name is spelled Wallen, that's Wallen or Whalen. I don't know. The story just hit me. I'm not sure. But he's getting crap for walking off the stage during that end of the Saturday Night Live music. He was the musical guest. The host gets up. You've seen it. Everybody, thank you so much. We'll see you next time. And then the SNL music starts up. And this guy, Morgan Whalen, just left the stage. He walked forward right past the camera. It looked very, very awkward. But I couldn't tell if he was mad or he wanted to make a point or anything like that. It just seemed like he's a country guy who wanted to get the hell out of New York. And he did post a tweet right after. And he put, get me to God's country. It was his private plane at the airport, which, how many private planes fly you to God's country? I think it might be a little hypocritical, perhaps. But he left the stage, and people are freaking out like he's snobby. He didn't want to celebrate with the rest of the cast. But if you're a country guy, and I don't even know where he's from, but you're a country guy, you can't want to stay there a second longer than necessary. He probably had to stay in New York for a week to do the show. And, you know, he's around the scum of the earth when he could be in his own hometown with wonderful people, friends, and family. So I hold no ill will toward Morgan Whalen for walking off of the, is it the first musical guest or host that's ever walked off the stage? I don't know. Anyway, good for you, Morgan. We'll be right back. Anthony Cumia Show. If you don't think we are screwed as a nation and need to open up Greenland to a just new America, a 200-year-old version of America, an America that people could just come in, they're faced with all kinds of horrors and hardships, and they build stuff, and in probably not even that long, because the technology's out there. They don't even have to invent the technology. They just have to figure out how to incorporate it into what they do. It would be an amazing place. Probably the greatest place on earth. Greenland will become the greatest American state. Canada can go screw. But right when you start thinking that, you see things that are just like, what are we doing? What the hell are we doing as a nation? Oregon. Now, we all know the Pacific Northwest is a bastion of scum. There are probably some places like New York. You look at New York and think, oh, liberal New York sucks. But then you look at a political map and realize there's a lot of red in the state. And you go upstate New York and a lot of people are pretty cool. Unfortunately, the city and Albany and some of these other areas are very liberal, which means, you know, they suck. Oregon, another one of these places that like I would almost said get your, crap together. This is real. If you decide you want to take your clothes off and walk around any town or city in Oregon, totally naked, in front of a child, walking on the property of the parent of that child, go ahead. You won't be arrested. I can't believe this actually happened. Listen to this clip. It's a gentleman talking with the cop. He's the father. I don't know how he's not arrested for murder. I don't know how he didn't kill the guy that walked up to his child naked. And then he tells the cop, like, isn't there a law? And the cop gleefully informs this gentleman that, no, there's not. It's totally legal to do this. Have a nice day. Are you out of your mind? Listen to this.
In the state of Oregon, someone can walk up to your 2-year-old kid completely bare naked, and that's not a crime, even if it's on your property.
Correct. Well, so it's trespassing, but what I'm saying is there's no laws against the actual nudity portion of it.
So you can expose yourself to children in Oregon.
Again, if you're not doing it for sexual gratification or the gratification of somebody else, yes, you are allowed to walk around in public naked.
On private property, this is where I live, and someone just came and exposed themselves to my 2-year-old boy, and this officer's saying that it's not a crime. So a naked person came up onto my property here, approached my 2-year-old kid, completely naked, which I ran over to him and covered his eyes so he wouldn't see. My obvious thought is to call 911 as someone's indecently exposing themselves to my child on my property. At what point did this become a normal and acceptable thing to do? The cops will literally do nothing about it. They're basically saying we have to wait for that person to do something more serious to your kid before we can intervene.
Who decided this? You have representatives, and they're supposed to legislate and make laws that are in the best interest and within the community's values. You just go up and go, a bunch of people vote and say, this is what we want. How the hell did this one slip past? Where a politician goes, you know what? I think it's good if a nut perverted piece of can walk up to a young child on someone's property, expose themselves, and walk away with impunity because we don't want a law against that. And then they just keep getting voted back in office. And the law isn't repealed. How is this a good thing? And this is just a microcosm of the bigger picture. I don't know of many laws that are based on representing our best interest. Yeah, I tell a story about when I lived in Roslyn, New York. I wanted to chop a tree down, you know, like Pa Ingalls on Little House on the Prairie. Grab my axe, a few loogies in each fist, and I'm chopping. But for some reason, I had to go through a political process like I wanted to put down my grandmother because she was sick. This is the world we live in. Unbelievable regulations, unbelievable laws that do not do anything in the best interest of the people that are voting these people in office. Put that on a bill. I don't know how it got passed. I assume people are very stupid. My default assumption of humans are that they are stupid, just based on what I've seen. But how stupid do you have to be to vote for someone that will allow a nude man to walk up to your child on your own property and there's no consequence for that? Are you out of your mind? How does this happen? How does this happen? But it does. That's what happens. I got another clip I didn't get to tonight. Let's play Adam Schiff calling Trump a liar. This is insane. I mean, Adam Schiff was quite literally censured for lying. He said that there was Russian collusion. They came up with a resolution saying Schiff held a position of power during Trump's presidency and abused his trust by saying there was evidence of collusion between Trump's campaign and Russia. It literally says, Representative Schiff purposely deceived, lied to, his committee, Congress, and the American people. There is a record of his lies to this. Play the clip.
Now, the interesting thing about Donald Trump that you need to understand is Donald Trump doesn't claim to tell the truth. He doesn't pretend to be telling the truth. No, Donald Trump's argument is the argument of dictators around the world and is much more insidious. His argument is essentially, yes, he's a liar, but so is everyone else, and he's your liar. He's your liar. If you can convince people that everything is lies, if you can convince people that they're entitled to their own alternate facts, to quote the infamous Kellyanne Conway, then what basis do we have for democratic governance? How do we decide what policy should be? How do we decide
All right,
who should
shut
govern?
up. Shut up. He's calling Trump a liar. This guy was censured by Congress for his lies. And we keep voting these people in over and over again. Enough! I say enough. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you so much for popping in and supporting me on the Anthony Cumia Show right here. I appreciate it. We'll be back next week at the same time, I swear to you. Oh, I didn't even see that. All right. I just got a whisper in my ear. It was nice. It was actually someone asking me out to dinner. I'm kidding, of course. Yeah, we vote these people back in. Why? Why does Adam Schiff get voted back in? Why does Maxine Waters, Jasmine Crockett? Just having the name Crockett is insulting. I remember watching Davy Crockett as a kid. Now we got Slavey Crockett. It's so insulting, and I've had it. And I don't know what to say about it because people just keep voting these idiots back into office. A liar. Obvious. It's on the record. He lied. And what happens? He gets censured, which means nothing. And then what happens? He gets to call Donald Trump a liar. Enough. I've had it. Are we done? We're done. I'll see you all next week right here. Anthony Cumia Show.